Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy video and podcast. This will be the best wildcard team for Matchday 4. This might be a popular time to use the chip, and I've been discussing this for the last couple of weeks now, ever since I made that chip strategy guide around a month ago about the best time to use the Limitless and wildcard boosters. Check out the best Limitless team video as well if you're kind of undecided about which chip to use. I think by seeing both squads, you will probably have a better idea of which chip you want to use. And remember, the wildcard enforces permanent changes to your squad, but you have to adhere to the budget restrictions, whilst with the Limitless, anything is possible. You can go for the most expensive players, but only for one match day. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. If you enjoy my content, our aim is to get this to the 200 likes on YouTube and to keep on pushing towards 35 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and check all the other links in the description below, like the UCL Fantasy League, which you can see on screen. Thousands of you have joined already, and it's a very competitive space. I'll just put it that way. And also don't forget to join me in terms of Patreon and the YouTube channel memberships to gain early access to my videos, amongst many other perks. And every single month, I'll be gifting 10 memberships for free. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. My squad value is 100.9 million, and the wildcard squad I'm going to show you will cost 100.6 million overall. Now, some of you might not be able to afford certain players, and that's why I'll discuss some possible downgrades just in case you have less funds available to you. And ultimately, there won't be a huge drop in terms of quality, so you'll still get a lot of UCL fantasy points from now until the end of the league phase. And remember, you do get unlimited transfers in match days 9 and 11, so that will give you a bit more flexibility. And if you still got the Limitless chip, my recommendation is to use it from now until match day 7. Check out the chip strategy guide to see the reasons why. But let's start off with the two goalkeepers, and I'm going for some different picks in this position. Celtic have kept 4 clean sheets in a row, which includes their 0-0 draw against Atalanta in match day 3. And over the weekend, they won 6-0. Kasper Schmeichel is a decent choice at 4.4 million. He did get -1 point against Borussia Dortmund when they lost 7-1. And with Celtic, you never know, they could be that odd battering against a very good team. But they've got some very good fixtures coming up after RB Leipzig, who lost their first game of the Bundesliga season against Borussia Dortmund on Saturday. So I think Schmeichel is a good choice at 4.4 million. And at a similar price, we can go for the Atalanta shot stopper, Garnacecchi, who kept a clean sheet away from home against Napoli, who were leading Serie A, and they still are technically, but they did lose for the first time this season. And Atalanta won comprehensively by a 3-0 scoreline, and that's why I've been recommending the likes of Zappa, Costa and Kolasinac in the defence. And you can still go for them, by the way, but Garnacecchi in goal is still a viable option. I think any of them would be a very good choice for the next 2 match days, but there are some tough games ahead in the league phase, and you could say the same thing about every single club virtually with this new format. I really like this goalkeeper pairing. They do clash once, I believe, in match day 6, and of course everyone plays at the same time in match day 8, but in match days 4, 5 and 7, you do have these goalkeepers playing on different days with some very promising fixtures as well. Rico Lewis was benched against Bournemouth in Man City's 2-1 defeat, but he came on as a substitute. It was a little bit too late, and ultimately Kyle Walker, who played in this position, had an absolute nightmare against the Cherries. I still like Rico Lewis in UCL Fantasy. He's been very impressive in this format so far this season, just like he was in the group stages of the last campaign when I also had him, and he kept on delivering returns through clean sheets and also assists from time to time. Against Sporting, it's going to be slightly tough for Manchester City, especially considering the home team's form. They've won all 10 games in the Portuguese league so far this season. They're obviously sitting top, and despite Porto having a great start, they're still some way behind them because of Sporting's impeccable run. Now, I still think Man City can get the job done here, and beyond this fixture, there are some promising games as well until match day 8, but there's also some tricky games like Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain for Manchester City. I still like Akanji and Gvardiol, but you've got a cheaper option here, Rico Lewis, who also offers attacking potential. The second choice will be Pau Torres, who only costs 5 million, but Aston Villa, despite taking the lead against Tottenham, ended up losing 4-1, and sometimes Aston Villa can be left wanting defensively, but in the Champions League this season, they have been incredible, but there are some tough games coming up. I think matchday 4 looks amazing against Club Brugge away, and it could be another clean sheet for Aston Villa, who also have history in this competition. I don't even mind Emi Martinez in goal, and if you go for that sort of route, you could then partner him with a 4 million goalkeeper like Franco Israel from Sporting, but I do prefer this goalkeeper pairing of Schmeichel and Carnesecchi, and that's why I've covered Villa defensively with Pau Torres, but you've also got Konsa and possibly Luca Dean, but there will be rotation with Maatsen from time to time. The third option will be Emre Can, who is the main penalty taker for Borussia Dortmund, and he also has ball recovery potential, but I do think Schlotterbeck is better in that particular aspect, and it's worth mentioning that Borussia Dortmund are decimated by injuries, but they still beat RB Leipzig, who were top of the Bundesliga table heading into the weekend by a 2-1 scoreline, and Emre Can will almost certainly play in Matchday 4, so you could definitely go for him here, but from time to time we could see a rotation, especially when Borussia Dortmund get their key players back. Even the goalkeeper is injured at the moment, and he's a major doubt for Matchday 4. We've got 2 other defender slots left, and one of them will be occupied by a 5.5 million option who was benched this weekend, and I think he was rested for the Champions League, and that's Jules Koundé, who made a brief cameo in a 3-1 win over Espanyol, and he's a ball recovery machine. He always has been, and it's probably worth going for him over Kubarsi, despite the 1 million difference in price, simply because of ball recoveries. He doesn't offer much in terms of attacking potential, despite mainly playing on the right-hand side, but he is such a crucial player to Barcelona, and I think is a great UCL Fantasy option with some good fixtures coming up. And finally, I'm a bit unsure about this last defender slot, and we could possibly change this heading into the deadline stream when I kind of decide the definitive wildcard squad. But I've gone for Kim Min-jae because Bayern Munich have been flawless since their 4-1 defeat against Barcelona in Matchday 3. They've won games by scorelines of 3-0, 4-0 and 5-0, and Kim Min-jae was subbed off at 69 minutes in the recent 3-0 win, where Harry Kane obviously scored a brace. He's got the ball recovery potential with 17 ball recoveries so far this season in the Champions League, and Bayern Munich should keep some clean sheets in this competition to really rise up the league phase table, because they're in big trouble at this moment in time. What more can we say about Mohamed Salah? He is getting better with age. His pace might be faltering a little bit, but he still looks rapid. He gets into great positions and he scores an assist on such a consistent basis. He completes take-ons, he creates chances and scores so many goals. I'm looking to buy him in FPL, and if I wildcard this week, Salah will be one of the first names on the team sheet, especially in this position. He is the most expensive midfielder for a reason, but he's well worth the money. He does play Bayer Leverkusen and Real Madrid up next, but they're 2 home games, and I think Liverpool can score plenty of goals even if they drop points in this league phase table. So Salah for me is almost a lock on the wildcard. Not essential. I don't think any player is in either FPL or UCL Fantasy, but I think Salah is as close as you can get to that term. Next up will be Lookman, who scored a brace against Napoli in that 3-0 win, and Atalanta have been impressive this season, but in the Champions League, Lookman has been a bit inconsistent. He got a massive return in Matchday 2 against Shakhtar Donetsk, but 2 blanks in Matchdays 1 and 3 with home ties against Arsenal and Celtic. I had Lookman in my Limitless team. He was the only player to blank, a bit of a spoiler alert of course, but I'll talk more about that in the team selection. But I do like Lookman here for the next 2 match days and probably for the next 4. There's only one difficult game in between, but ultimately I think Lookman can get some goals, and perhaps he is better in away matches compared to how Atalanta are in the home games, but that's maybe a very small sample size and probably not worth really highlighting too much, but maybe it's something to look at in the future. Next up though will be a budget midfielder who has been very consistent in UCL Fantasy, and that's Gittins, who didn't do anything this weekend in terms of goals or assists, but in UCL Fantasy he has returned in every single game so far, although against Celtic in a 7-1 win back in Matchday 2 when I bought him, he basically won a penalty and that's about it, but it technically does count as a return. He's a very exciting young player with a lot of potential, and there's some good fixtures for Borussia Dortmund, Sturm Graz in Matchday 4, and you've also got Dynamo Zagreb in Matchday 5. So I think Borussia Dortmund can score plenty of goals, and you might want to double up on Borussia Dortmund offensively. But in the Limitless video, I discussed a different structure if you're looking to triple up on Borussia Dortmund. Next up is Rafinha, who scored another goal in that 3-1 win against Espanyol. He has been incredible this season, and basically since March, he has been scoring and assisting at a very consistent rate for both club and country. He is my preference over Yamal, but you could easily go for both, as discussed in the best Limitless team, and in my team selection, I'm looking at going to this sort of structure and tripling up on Barcelona if possible, and that's why Yamal also makes the cut in this best wildcard team. But if I had to pick one, it would be Rafinha. He seems to be more consistent with goals and assists combined, especially in terms of goal scoring. I think Yamal still has a way to go in that department, whilst Rafinha is the polished article at this moment in time. He's also scoring in big games like the hat-trick against Bayern Munich, and also he got a goal and an assist in that 4-0 win away to Real Madrid very recently. I love this complexion so far and the balance we've got. Only one attacking double up and no defensive ones, but you may want to do something like that. Maybe with Arsenal, you can still go for Gabriel or Saliba. I personally think the Gunners will bounce back eventually, but Inter Milan is a very tough test and you may want to wait a little bit until match day 5 or 6. But the Gunners have some tough tests in the Premier League and Champions League coming up, so you may want to avoid them for now. But I still believe the likes of Saka and those Arsenal defenders, David Raya goal, can still come into the equation on a best wildcard team in the upcoming weeks. Vinicius Jr. was unplayable against Borussia Dortmund in matchday 3. He was the catalyst of that comeback when things were looking very bleak for Los Merengues. They were 2-0 down, but he had that magic on the night and no one could stop him even if they tried. Vinicius Jr. now faces AC Milan at home, then it's Liverpool away, but he has done very well in the past against the Reds, even at Anfield, and personally, I think Real Madrid can score multiple goals across the next 2 matches. Then you've got a very good fixture run until the end of the league phase, although Atalanta away might also be classed as a difficult fixture. They beat them 2-0 in the UEFA Super Cup, of course. Real Madrid coming out on top, as they tend to do in Europe. The second forward will be Guirassy. He is my favourite mid-price forward, especially over the next 2 match days, but you've got other options like Gyökeres, although on a wild card, it makes no sense to go for him when he faces Man City and Arsenal in the next 2. You might want to wait until match day 6 before reinvesting in the Swedish striker, and he is fixture-proof to be fair, so I'm not saying completely discount him, but I'd rather go for the fixture and the form. Guirassy scored over the weekend against RB Leipzig, and he's been very consistent in all the competitions so far this season, and the same goes for a certain Harry Kane, who's the best premium forward at this moment in time. He scored away from home against Barcelona despite having a goal ruled out just moments before that, and he obviously went ballistic in match day 1. He was my captain and one of the reasons why I'm in a decent position at this stage of the season. So Harry Kane will give you that consistency, great underlying stats. He's on penalties, and Bayern Munich definitely are on a mission to finish in the top 8 of the league phase table, and I doubt they're going to wrap things up before that time. So I think they'll go strong in every single game, and Harry Kane will get the bulk of the big chances. So on screen you can see that it says minus 0.6 million, because if you've only got 100 million in budget, you won't be able to afford this squad. But just to kind of prove that I can afford it, here you go. It's the exact same team, and I've got 0.3 million left in the bank personally. I think on my phone though, in the app, it says I've got 0.4 million, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But let's actually talk about the captaincy, as we tend to do. On the 5th of November, it's a very close battle. I'd be very tempted by Guirassy, but I'd probably go for Vinicius Jr. and don't even discount Salah, who is an excellent choice at home to Bayer Leverkusen. And on the Wednesday, I'd probably lean towards Harry Kane. It's a toss-up between him and Rafinha. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below with the captaincy. And as always, ensure that the Tuesday players, so in this case, those playing on the 5th of November, are in your starting 11 and captain a player who plays on the Tuesday. You can then sub this and change this before the substitution deadline ends and before the Wednesday games begin. If you have any questions about that, then check out my how to play guide, which I made several years ago, and everything I said there remains relevant today. Thank you very much for watching this video and listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Our aim is to get this to the 200 likes and to keep on pushing towards 35 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon and the championships for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks, the Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, Draft Hound, as well as Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It would go a long way to support my channel. I wish you all the best of luck for match day 4 and the rest of the tournament, and I'll see you next time.